we have 5 pieces of advice that we want to give as part of the vaccine response against this new variant. The first, we're advising that the booster program should now be extended to adults aged 18 to 39 years old. This is in addition to the existing program for boosters, meaning that from now, all adults aged 18 years and above would be eligible for a booster. The second piece of advice is that the booster program should follow prioritization according to age and being in a risk group. In other words, somebody with an underlying health condition that puts them at higher risk of COVID-19. The reason for this is that we have not seen any data to suggest the new variant is in any way different from the previous variants in terms of who is most at risk of severe disease. As we know from before, older age persons and people with underlying health conditions are at higher risk of severe disease. And so we want to protect them as a priority. The booster program is therefore prioritized now according to age, with the booster dose given no sooner than 3 months after the second dose. The third piece of advice is that people who are severely immunocompromised should also now be offered a booster dose. For them, this would be their 4th vaccine dose. The first 3 doses they've received so far counts as their primary cause, and the booster dose will be their 4th dose. Once again, the booster dose should be given no sooner than 3 months after their last vaccine dose or the 3rd dose. Fourthly, regardless of the type of vaccine that was given for the primary cause, the first 2 doses, either of the mRNA vaccines, that is the Moderna vaccine or the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, can and should be used in preference as the booster vaccine. The Moderna vaccine at 50 micrograms, which is half the dose used in the primary cause, and the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine at 30 micrograms, the standard adult dose, both give extremely good antibody levels. They generate a very strong immune response given as a boost. There are some people who are unable to receive an mRNA vaccine, and they may have had the AstraZeneca vaccine both for their first dose and their second doses. For them, we advise that they receive as their booster the AstraZeneca vaccine again. The AstraZeneca vaccine does give a good boost, albeit not as good as the Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines, but it's still a good boost, and we would advise that they have a boost rather than have no booster dose at all. Lastly, we advise that children aged 12 to 15 years are offered a second dose of vaccine at the standard dose of 30 micrograms of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine 12 weeks after their first dose. This is the same schedule as for 16 and 17-year-olds at the moment. We are closely watching the emerging data on Omicron, and if there is a need to advise that the dose interval between dose 1 and dose 2 for children should be altered, then we will do so. At the moment, the dose interval between dose 1 and dose 2 for 12 to 15-year-olds and 16 and 17-year-olds is 12 weeks. Overall, the priority is the booster program, particularly for older adults and those with underlying health conditions that put them at higher risk from COVID-19. The majority of people who are aged 50 years and above are already eligible for a booster. Some of those who are already eligible have not yet received their booster vaccination. I strongly urge everyone who is already eligible to please make the effort, book your appointment, and have the booster. That will be the best way to protect yourselves, your loved ones, and the wider society against any possible new variant wave of infection. Thank you.
Thank you, Wei Shen. So before we open for questions, I'd just like to kind of sum up a little bit. Today we've heard some very reassuring words from Dr. Rain about the safety of the booster programme as it is monitored in an ongoing way. And I think the three key themes we've heard in relation to Omicron and the JCVI advice are uncertainty, concern, and timing. An opportunity now to get the timing right. JCVI has today announced renewed urgency and further expansion of the UK booster programme. We don't know what's going to happen next. As I explained to you, the next 3 weeks are going to be weeks of scientific uncertainty. But whilst we wait for the mist to clear on what this concerning variant actually means, there is no time to delay. It's our opportunity to get ahead, and vaccine boosting is the thing we can do most easily whilst we wait for that science mist to clear. So to me, and as you know, I love football, we started with 11 players in the team with the Wuhan vaccine, and you could say that we've kind of picked up a couple of injuries when Alpha came along and then Delta came along, those variants that are slightly different from the Wuhan original strain. And we've had to use our subs off the bench to keep us in the game, but we're well in the game, and you can see that with the current epidemiology in relation to Delta, that the vaccines are holding up very well and largely keeping us out of trouble. Now, Omicron is like now picking up a couple of yellow cards to key players on top. We may be okay, but we're kind of starting to feel at risk that we might go down to 10 players. And if that happens, or if that's a risk that it's going to happen, then we need everyone on the pitch to up their game in the meantime. And that's really upping your game in terms of boosters and in terms of antibody responses. We're not going to wait for the red card to happen. We're going to act decisively now. And we're asking everyone to up their game. We're asking everyone to play their part in the urgency now of the booster programme coming forward the moment you are called by the NHS. It's really, frankly, never been more vital that the booster campaign has never been more vital than at this point in time.